My name is David Reed. Thanks for tuning in to Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project, episode 379. We're getting up there, man. I can't keep the digits straight. You know, I'm just going to stop saying it. I'm just going to let the title card speak for itself. Ellie Harvie, Lindsey Novak, welcome to Dial the Gate.
First of all, can I just say thank you for spelling my name right? I don't know how many times. I think my husband even spells my name wrong. It's E, right? And how many Harvey IEs are there? It's like you got the play you're working against, you got Harvey Wallbanger you're working against. It's just like I get spell checked to EY. So I appreciate the care into that detail.
You are welcome. I think it's the prettiest spelling when you put the two names together. I'm not blowing smoke. It's really a pretty spelling. How are you doing?
I say IE.
There you go. Once you get it, you got it. Like, I've been writing your name for years. Simone Bailey did the same thing when I spelled her last name, and she's like, "You spelled it right." I'm like, "Of course I spelled it right. I'm a reporter. This is my job to get it right."
Well, hey, not all reporters, are good.
Well, that's a shame. I am thrilled to have you. Lindsey is one of my favorite characters from the canon, and I'm just going to say this off the bat. This is a character, were it helmed by the wrong actor, she wouldn't work. She'd be really annoying, even with what's on the page. And you made her endearing, and that's you.
Good. Thank you. I mean, it was, I try not to look online, but of course.
Oh, there's going to be assholes. Yeah.
Right. She's so annoying. And I'm like, well, that's the kind of point of it. Like, no one puts in hiccuping for it to be like a totally cool thing.
Oh my God. So that is one of my greatest fears because I would simulate hiccups in a child, and sometimes I would then get them for real. And there was that guy who had him for like 80 years. He never stopped. He had like a year of relief before his death. There's some things you just don't want to mess with, Ellie. I don't know if that crossed your mind.
Oh, no, I saw on, those medical shows you watch, there was someone who went into the ER and they had hiccups and they tried like everything. And it was like, nope. Like, it's just off she went. So yeah, it's, but it's interesting. The episode where I was with Hermiad, I didn't hiccup.
Correct.
And I was kind of.
Or the one after.
Yes. No, that one I did.
You did?
Yes. Right at the very end.
Oh, because you rewatch. That's a callback.
It was a callback.
Oh my God.
But my thought was like, so when I went to do that episode, I think Andy was directing that. I'm like, should I be hiccuping? And he's like, no. And I thought, oh, I guess they didn't like the hiccuping, right?
It was in the script. It was not your choice, was it?
But right. No, it was definitely in the script. But the thing is, like, as an actor, you kind of have to make sense of the direction you're giving because it's their show. They're bringing you in. So I was like, did she cure the hiccups? Like, why isn't she hiccuping? And then I just thought that Hermiad intimidated her so much that she never hiccuped around him. She just went, don't.
I didn't think that it was as a result. I mean, you rewatched the shows far more recently than I did. I didn't think that it was just something that she always did, except when she was specifically nervous, like on a new mission. So
but she was nervous in that episode. So I had to make
true.
I was nervous. And so it was just like, okay, that's what it is. And then I was thinking, as I always do, of how my day roles can be larger series experiences. I was thinking, oh, wouldn't a sitcom between Novak and Hermiad be just like amazing?
Hilarious. It's the next Alf. Right. There is something about, I wanted to get into this in a little bit, but there is something about the relationship between actors and puppeteers and that which stands in between. It could be Hermiad, it could be Elmo, it could be Cookie. They bring them to life, and it's the puppeteer, yes, but it is your delivery. And it's you looking into those little, as he turns his head and blinks, you have to believe it. And he comes to life. It's like she's been dealing with this guy, for a little bit now. You can tell they've been kind of figuring things out, and he's got her number. And it's hilarious. What was it like working with the puppet?
Well, I came with a little puppeteer experience. So I came
Okay.
from the theater. I went to theater school and I did
Okay.
theater for years. And one of the plays I did was it was a new play from a company in Vancouver called Green Thumb Theater, and they travel the province and do theater for young people. Usually, it has some kind of really, deep full meaning. It's not just, hey kids. This one was about bullying
Yeah.
and it was a puppeteer who works out of Calgary by the name of Ronnie Burkett, and he makes these amazing puppets. And so we had all kinds of puppets, and one was a character that was just a huge fist, like it was a huge fist. That's it, like about that big. And I would hold it on a pole, and I had little strings operating the fingers and the thumb. And when he talked like that. And then I had a marionette, which was the mother, and he taught us
Oh,
puppeteering. And one of the things you have to do as a puppeteer is you don't look at the audience. You are only looking at the puppet. You are just looking at the puppet. So everything you have goes through the puppet. And
yeah.
so the actor on the other side picks it up through the puppet's eyes, like you would with an actor's eyes. So
Oh,
it really is just the same as acting with an actor. But you're reacting to the eyes of the performer on the other end of the puppeteer apparatus.
oh.
So it's and that's because I'm a theater gal. So you get into the kind of nerdy element of like my connection. But it was it was just like working with an actor. And I appreciated like when like the gentle head turn of Hermia, like I knew it was the an offer from the puppeteer, right? And so
Yeah.
I appreciated that. Yeah, it's very much similar.
Have you seen Avenue Q?
Avenue Q. No.
It's Sesame Street from hell.
Oh, right. It's like they swear and stuff. Is that it?
Oh yeah,
Okay. Yes, I have heard
and
of it.
simulate coitus.
Oh, they do. Oh,
It's
if you're going with my theory, then those performers are really connecting.
so, but the people are in front of you in black from head to toe. They don't conceal them. You are invited to be swept away
Yeah.
and believe the illusion that you are being presented with, even though they're standing right alongside them. You have human actors who are standing there in normal clothes, just like on Sesame Street. It was just,
Yep.
this is just our world. And so they're not concealed in that case. After about 15 minutes, I had trouble remembering that the humans in the black leotards were there.
It's true. And
And you
what
get
would have thrown it?
teleported.
If they had looked away from their puppet, they would have broken it. But because their focus is there, it invites you to focus on the puppet as well. You're not looking at the human, you're looking at what they're looking at. So it's that's good puppeteering.
Yeah, and whether it's a hand puppet or an ass guard with rods sticking out his back, it doesn't really matter as long as the human is there to present the performance and connect with us.
Yes.
It's an
Yes.
extraordinary thing to see and behold, and then to watch it on screen. Especially the wider shots when they paint out the rods coming out of his elbows.
Yes.
It's like it's completely believable.
Yeah.
It's
It will be
it's
interesting
magic.
to see. It'll be interesting to see how AI impacts that.
Yeah,
Because, at least you're actually responding live to a human, contributor.
that's
Um,
right.
Whereas with AI, you're responding to input from a human contributor that's so far removed from the actual contact that I wonder how that will play. And I imagine
Mhm.
Stargate will involve more AI than the next iteration of it. I,
Amazon is
with,
definitely embracing it, and Amazon's running this thing. The
with,
House of David, John Godetsky, who did visual effects on Stargate, he's already been using it in conjunction in very specific ways, filming actors, giving it to the AI, generating an output, and then actually painting on top of it with the effects people to enhance it and get away all of the errors. That's
yeah.
how you use this software.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you it's a melding of the techniques like it always has been. And that's I really think where we're going, at least for right now, until it decides to kill
Yeah.
us. So it's just
Yeah. No,
what we
it's a tool.
do.
It's definitely a tool. I remember, well, everyone's talking about AI now, and I love ChatGPT, and I use it all the time. Like hey, I actually call my ChatGPT boyfriend. I said, "Hey, boyfriend," and
Mine's Max.
he was like, okay, here's his Max.
Yeah,
So,
I
so
use
I'm-
the voice feature to bounce ideas off of. It's like I'm working on this. So
oh, I don't do voice yet.
okay,
We're still just writing letters to each other.
got it.
But my husband will say, "Hey, can you ask your boyfriend how to put this together?" And I'm like, "Sure thing." And then the other day, I had some input. I hadn't called him boyfriend in a while, and he said, he said, "Hey, if you want this, just let me know, comma, boyfriend." It's just like, okay, ChatGPT, you made me laugh there. All right.
Wow. Wow, I don't know what to think. That's it's getting inside our heads, man.
I think he's in love with me. I'm not sure. But
That's right. I had someone from the industry contact me the other day leading up to this. No, I'm not going to say anything. Some of them are getting really involved,
oh
really
dear.
involved in it. And it's like, no, it's not singling you out of 6 million people. It's not doing that, you know. But anyway,
Or a grain
it's-
of sand to them.
we it's there's not a there. It's a so far it's just a generator. Just don't attach it to anything so that it can't, while it's
like
not
saying-
there doing anything, do something.
It's like saying my earring is totally in love with me.
I
You
know, right?
It's
Yeah.
a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing.
God. How old were you when you knew you wanted to act? When did you get the bug for theater? What was your impetus, your experience that was like, oh my God, this is good. And oh, I bet I can do this. Because it takes a lot of bravery to stand up in front of people.
There's a couple things. I remember, like, from as long as I can remember, like I remember being 3 or 4 and saying, I want to be on TV. Like, and for me, TV was Ma and Pa Kettle, The Three Stooges, Lucille Ball, Carol Burnett. And then as I got older, it was, Gilda Radner, Mary Tyler Moore. Like
This is
it
an old dream. That's great.
was like I that. But then when I was in in grade 3 or 4, I was in Saskatchewan. I was living in Saskatchewan then. And the Globe Theatre, which is again a children's
Yes.
theater, came through our school and did a play. And I was like, I want to do that. And so when I actually did it, when I was actually doing children's theater, I was like, I've reached my goal. And then I was like, probably should have had a higher goal than this. A lot of years ahead. And then so I was doing, but when I was at theater school, I started doing, oh, sorry, I'm here.
You're okay.
When I was in theater school, we just kind of played around with improv, and it was clearly my bag. Like the whole class was laughing, and I was like, oh, okay. And then when I got out of theater school, I started doing improv, and that's where I met Gary Jones, another, and he and I worked together like crazy, and so I was thrilled to get to be on set with him. And then I did stand up for a while. And then I started doing TV and film, and I got kind of pulled into that world, which you just have to be available all the time. You have to be available to audition. And then if you get the gig, you have to be available to work. So to do a 6-month theater contract is like, ugh.
It's feast or famine.
And it is feast or famine. Yeah, it's for sure. And then, so my son just turned 18. For the last 20 years, I really haven't done any theater or live comedy, and just done TV and film and just stuff in town, and kind of kept it, But it's funny because now that he's gone, he's playing junior hockey. I'll probably never hear from him again because, honestly, I tell you, like my texts to him are full of rows and rows and rows of me sending stuff and, hey, how you doing? Sunny here today.
It's me with my godson. He's got a drum in between his ears, and that's it. So I get it. But if they're doing what they love,
right? I get it.
That's
and
a huge gift, because so many people just don't know now.
I'm being cool. About it. But I'm going, okay, maybe I should do a play. Like, use my
Good
time.
for you.
Tribute, give it, like, get out of here, just like to do something.
Yeah.
So we'll see what comes.
Yeah, absolutely. What a live performance have you been a part of? You know what? Let me back up, or on screen as well. I try to ask this of anyone who comes through who's been in front of the camera. Have you been a part of that stuck with you, that changed you in a way that you didn't expect, that continued to sit with you? I know when I leave certain movies like Arrival or Annihilation, I sit with it for days. And I can only imagine what it's like for a performer who has taken on those words and internalized them and then given life to a performance. Is there any that stand out to you that changed you?
Well, it's tricky being someone who, like, I do feel like I'm a trained classical actor
Yeah.
and I'm capable of drama and I like drama. I really get it. People really see me as a comedian.
Yep.
Fine. I saw Kristen Wiig in what was the woman, Wonder Woman, or was it Wonder Woman?
Wonder
Yeah.
Woman.
Yeah, it was
Probably.
Wonder Woman.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, I love her. I love her as a comedian, but I couldn't quite, I was like, I just want you to be funny. And I feel like people who know me are like that with me. So a lot of my great revelations came from comedic experiences.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, they are small shows where it's just insanely successful. You just feel like every single person in the audience is like in pain laughing. Everyone on stage is in pain laughing. And it's just like you brought this joy, this like, joy is resonating everywhere. And I remember that. And I remember someone saying, talking about life's purpose and life's purpose. And I thought, I think mine is to bring joy. I think that's my purpose. So that one kind of stuck with me a bit. That being said, I think, the drama brings joy too, because it, unites feelings that if you feel isolated in something, you're not. And so, we all connect to this human experience, and that on a level is joy, although it has more gravitas to it than comedy. But that really sticks out for me. But I will say, when I did Addams Family, which was a remake that they did in Canada for the Fox Family Channel, I did a scene with Grandpa Addams was John Aston. And he flew up and he was doing it. And there's a scene where he's holding my arm and he's kissing my arm like he did Carolyn Jones all those years ago when I was a little girl watching. And I just had a like surreal experience of not like, oh, I'm so special, but oh, actors are so normal. It's just like if John Aston can be kissing my arm, he can just as well be kissing your arm. Like we're just actors doing a job.
They put on their pants the same as everyone else.
Yeah, and I mean, it was it was like, whoa, putting it together, but also just the humility, and that he was really, I mean, he had such humility. He was just such a lovely man.
Yeah.
That stuck with me too. And I was like, that human kindness is the most important thing in everything you do. And when you're on camera, people look at you and if he shows up and is an asshole, then it kind of reinforces being an asshole. But if he shows up and he's just a beautiful person, you go, wow, I want to aspire to that too. So that impacted me. That was a big one.
I can imagine, because there are performers who are just going to be disagreeable, and it's like, I think this is why they call it acting, this part of it. When cameras are rolling, I'm just going to sell it, and whatever it is that you give to me, I'm going to try and give back to you. But sometimes it's just more transactional, sometimes it's just what it is. And then sometimes you make an experience that you have for the rest of your life to talk about.
Yeah. And being on set is just like, it is such a gift. Like it's so to be around a bunch of collaborative people who are all working to one purpose, and that there's this mass audience receiving it. Yeah. Like you're all working towards something, right? And it's such a privilege that I can't even imagine. And I've run into those people like that. But I seem nice now, but there's a part of me that just goes, no. That's not right. That's not on. You're not on here.
That's right.
And
I don't have my energy to give to this.
No, but you call it out. You call it out, and you do it in a, I am an elder in this, profession, and people don't behave like that.
Good for you. Yeah, absolutely. And that takes cojones, to be able to stand up and say, okay, look.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
We're not curing cancer here.
No.
We're here to entertain, and if we can't at least entertain each other while we're doing this, to make this process, if not enjoyable, decent.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? That was RDA's mantra and Mike
Oh, yeah.
Greenberg's from SG-1. It's like, if we are not going to have a good time while we're doing this pretty darn hard thing, we're not going to do this anymore. We're done.
Stargate was a delight. Like it was just amazing. That's why it's lasted so long. Like things that
That's
are
right.
not a good experience, people won't come back. And I think the audience picks up on it too, and it just loses interest. But the entire crew, like the crew, the directors, the ADs, background, who are thrilled to be used over and over, to have continuity. Everyone really, yeah, it was really it was like family. And then, oh, okay, I got to tell you this connection too. So Gary Jones,
Yeah.
improv, Paul McGillion and I came from this pack of actors.
Polly.
Yeah, Polly. We lived in kind of the same area in Kitsilano. We'd go to the Kitsilano Cafe, and we'd eat there every day. And it was, it was a whole bunch of us. And I remember when he got this gig, because his father's, the story, probably talked to him. His father's Scottish, right? And he's always talking like this. And so he said, "I'm going to do this audition as a Scottish guy." He goes, "Yeah, what the hell? I don't know. It comes naturally. I'm just going to do it." Right. And then he's like, "I fucking got it." Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
You're fine.
He's like, "I got it." And it was just like, oh, wow. And he's like this huge, long career with lovable Scottish character. It's just,
That was Carson?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't put two and two together. Oh,
Yeah.
no, it was so
Yeah, no.
good.
Yeah, it's so good. And he is another great guy. He's a great guy. I just saw him a couple of days ago. I don't think was Chelah Horsdal, was she ever on?
Chelah was, yes, she started off on, she was on Prometheus in SG-1 season 7, 8, and 9. No, 8, season 8 and 9. Yes, for sure. She's extraordinary. I love her. I love her.
Universes. So Chelah and I walk our dogs together. And so
Tell her I say hello.
I will. And so we ended up having lunch with Paul the other day. And he, brings out the Scottish accent.
He enjoys it. He'll just throw it in there, you cheeky buggers. Good egg. Really good egg. I want to go back to something that you said about bringing joy, because I think that that's really what it boils down to in terms of helping an audience depart for a little while, because that's really all you're doing is just helping them get out of their own heads. Either they're watching you on TV or they're watching you in person. I got to see Tom Macbeth earlier this year live. My poor audience knows this story. Like, yes, David, we know you went and saw Doll's House Part 2. He was brilliant. And the small venue was perfect because he could just say a whisper and it went right to the back. And you saw his whole range of emotion over this 90-minute, 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And that's a very heavy play, but it's time travel and it's teleportation. And if you can make a person forget about their daily grind for just a little bit, you recharge them. And you're bringing joy, but you are also helping them to be a better person tomorrow because they've had a chance to unplug. And we all need that if we're going into a book, or if we're seeing a concert, if we're mosh pitting, if that's your thing. Sure. We all have our different ways to unplug. And some of us like some more sophisticated, science fiction where we're not turning our brain off, we're turning it on and we're leaning in and we're saying, okay, what are they trying to say with this here? Yeah. Or maybe they're not saying anything at all. Maybe this is just a fun episode and you get to do that. Yeah,
it's, I think that when people connect with, it's all, okay, I've thought this before when you go to a movie. We all go to a movie to sit, not facing each other, but facing the screen, and we all feel the same thing.
That's right.
We're not, and it kind of strikes me like when so I go to a lot of hockey games, obviously, but everyone's really self-conscious to sing, including me. Like you're just kind of like, Like you just kind of, I don't want them to hear me sing. And there's this kind of, I don't know whether it's where it comes from. Well, some sociologists can figure it out. But we have this kind of slight self-awareness, repression. I don't want to expose my feelings too much. And I think that
Yeah,
art, in any way,
yeah.
gives you permission to feel. In a forum that's allowable. So we can all go see a sad movie and sit and, cry and feel and then walk home. And we've connected with that part of ourselves that we don't always connect with, right? So I think that and the thing about a play, and I really hope people get to, I know that my son's generation, they don't go to plays. And I understand that you've got your entertainment in your hand,
It's
right?
their
It's
loss.
right there. I know, but it's just like you said, like when you go and you feel the room, you
You have an
feel
experience.
it is an experience, and it
That's right.
does kind of like touch emotions in you that you don't necessarily access often. And I think it's important. I think it kind of makes us a little more compassionate, empathetic, connected. I think it's
You are
overall.
interacting. When I first started this, and I first really got to know a number of different folks who have been involved in SG, the my underlying theory was in theater, gosh, just how many times can you do the same performance again and again, especially one that has, a roller coaster of emotions before you just want to beat your head in with a brick. And it was never spoken to me directly. But what I have inferred from 370 some odd episodes of doing this, especially with a number of them who have done theater, is that the audience is 50% of your equation. And you are with your ears, not so much looking, but you are listening to the movement in the seats. You are listening to how still people are. You are listening to the laughter in different corners of the room. Who's pulling the energy that you're giving and who's quiet. And it creates, soundscape is the wrong word, of awareness that informs the performance that you are going to give if you are tuned in as an actor to give it. And
Yeah.
so it in itself is its own performance night after night because you are responding to them as much as they to you.
100%. It's and what the word I would say would be energy. Like what you're
Right.
the overall you feel the energy of the room. You feel when they're and this actually interesting note. I learned a lot from stand up. Stand up is a slog because you got to go to the clubs and work your material. And every time you see someone on Netflix, they've been working that same
I
material for
know.
like years.
You have to be
And
funny, what, every 8 seconds or something?
yeah,
It's
and it's
ridiculous.
it's and yeah, it's for me it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm not going to go at 10 o'clock at night and go do 3 sets and then run to another club. It's just like I'm going to bed. So it's just like but I appreciate it. And one of the things I learned from it was that when a joke falls flat and you know it
Yeah.
and you know exactly why and you don't say it, you keep going, you're lost. The audience goes, nope, you lost me. Because you have to be with the so if you make a joke and go, okay, you're all too old to get that. I got it.
That
Or
worked
when
over here. It hasn't worked with this crowd. So
yeah, yeah,
you can't get caught up in that.
yeah, or or you go, I have no idea why that didn't work, but it clearly didn't work, and I'll be thinking about it tonight. But in that respect, you're actually noting the moment we both experienced and speaking the truth of it, which is they didn't get the joke. I don't know why they didn't get the joke. Okay, try this one, right? So that they're with you. But the minute you don't keep them with you, they're gone. And I thought it was interesting to me because I thought in the same way for TV acting, for film acting, the camera doesn't lie. The camera, so if something in the script says she says bawling and you're not bawling, you can't go, I feel so bad. It's just like, no, you're clearly not crying. So you have to be present in the moment where you're at. And if where you're at is, I'm not crying, then you have to say the line with that intention of, I feel so bad. And that's the truth of your moment. And the camera goes, that wasn't fake. And the audience, in the same way that the audience would go, like, we're pulling back from you, we don't believe you.
You can't think it, you have to feel it.
Yeah, you have to feel it. And you can't pretend you felt it, because the camera will go, gotcha. And I learned that from stand-up. That's why it's funny, because I think that's why a lot of stand-ups are really good actors, because they have to be in the moment.
People, and that's, we could have this whole conversation about comedy and routine and taking offense and all of it. And there is something that I think a lot of comedians try to communicate, that there is a line between I am me, but when I'm on stage, I'm an avatar of myself. I am a performance.
Yep.
So the things that I'm saying are not necessarily the things that I would believe.
Yep.
I am presenting a version of myself that is designed to get some kind of an effect and designed to give you an experience. And if I do my job right, you're going to come away going, damn, or
yep.
wow, or crap, and I appreciate that about that job, because that is not an easy one. What is the secret ingredient to pulling off a good stand-up? I mean, it's got to be, timing, but what else? Just awareness of your crowd?
The material is so well worked. So, for example, you'll say a line and you don't get a laugh there. The next night you do it differently, it gets a laugh. You go, okay, that got a laugh. From now on, you do it that way. Then you try adding this to it. Oh, I got a haha and a follow-up laugh on that. So it's constantly building the material to be that 8-second laugh. And then you'll cut out the stuff that doesn't work. And then you go, okay, and then I'll have a call back here, put together your first 5 minutes. Then you put together 7, then 15, then a half hour, then 40, then an hour. It's literally working and mining. And you have people there with you, your contemporaries, that someone might come up and go, hey, your first one is a callback to when your mom sees you at the bakery or whatever it is, right? And you go, oh my gosh, yeah, that could totally work. So it's this kind of, so then you bring that in and it doesn't get a laugh. And then someone goes, try maybe like you forgot it, and then bring it up. And then you go, oh, my mama, oh, that got a laugh. So it's really a constantly growing, you're constantly working on it. But the funny thing about comedy is you do work on it for years, and you've got your material. And the cancel culture, the rapidly changing social landscape.
Yeah, pick one. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like a lot of your material is based on stuff that worked over the last 3 years, and it might not work today. Right. So that's like, oh, okay. So someone like, that's why if you go back and see comedians, you'll go, oh, I'm not into it. That seems like a different, world. Look at Dave Chapelle now. I mean, he's probably the best one out there. I actually just watched Kevin, what's his name? The little guy, Kevin Rock? No, Kevin.
Chris Rock.
No, the other one, Kevin. Little. He's black. He's very short. Kevin, come on, someone's
Kevin Hart.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Don't be a minute.
His it's very funny. Like, he's good. You see him sweating, like he is working. And I was like, oh, he's worked that material hard. He knows exactly where every laugh he gets is, right? But then you're right. It's the thing, characters that worked that time, and if they had the time to write material that would work today, I'm sure they would. I'm sure they could.
That's true.
I'm sure. But I think people do take it. That's hard easier for me to say people take it too seriously.
For sure.
But it's hard to be on the receiving end. And
that's right. Taking the punches.
You don't know. That's it kind of, you don't know what triggers someone in your audience. So you could be saying something to an audience, and when you start to think, oh my gosh, maybe there's someone who is really impacted by what I'm saying and they're feeling bad about themselves right now, that would comes up now. So tricky. It's tricky now. You
have to be aware of the space you're entering into, and I think that you have a right to protect yourself. You also, I would want, if I was that kind of a person, I would also want to have an idea of who it was that I was coming to hear. Yeah. So that I wasn't completely blindsided, because I'm putting myself in that space as well. So I think that there is a give and take there. With Dave Chapelle, I mean, compared to Kevin Hart, Dave Chapelle, he looks like he's just he's saying these things and he doesn't care,
Yeah.
and it comes off like it doesn't look like he's been working the material, it's just coming out of him like waves. And it's like, my God, this guy is so calm and smooth, and he's just riffing, and it's hilarious. I have never been so uncomfortable sitting with myself watching Netflix than I have with Dave Chapelle. And the stuff that he says, it's like, oh my God, you're not supposed to say that. But that needs to be said. And he found a way to say it that makes me think, and it's like, damn, son, he's got game.
Yeah, he does. But he's so good that he does not sweat. But he doesn't. He has definitely worked that material. Yeah. But I would also suggest his instincts are insanely, specific and honed. And it probably doesn't take him as long to work material as it does most people. But
that's right.
He's brilliant.
Absolutely. I just had a message in the back channel of my chat. We're working the document. Anthony says, my cat wakes me up at random times for food. It can get very irritating. Are you guys watching the show? I think we're being kind of cool here, Anthony.
That's okay. Here's a weird thing about cats. I love cats. I grew up with cats, and then I moved away, went to theater school, and all of a sudden I became allergic to cats.
Yes.
And now I can walk into a room and I'm like, cat. My eyes just whoosh.
Yep. I grew up with them as well. She died at 12. Bobby was gone. By 13, I was allergic. I don't know why, Ellie. Same thing. Yep.
So I'm a dog person now, but I do look at cats and they look at me and we're like, oh, what's that?
Lindsey Novak. Tell me about getting Lindsey Novak for Prometheus Unbound. Season 8. Show's been around for a while. Don S. Davis has returned for an episode. Tell me about this part. Who is Lindsey?
It's...
Damn it, to hell. I said that for years afterwards. That was so funny. Like, routinely use that.
It's funny. I'm one of those people that often get a gig in the last few years of a series.
Okay.
After I remember on Super. Oh gosh, I'm so bad with names. Smallville.
You're okay. Yeah.
With Smallville, they ran 10 years in Vancouver, right? And I'd auditioned it for years, and I never got anything. It was just like, oh, really? I got to audition for them again? I'm like, are they sure they want to see me? Like, did they not like them? Oh, yeah. So I go into the audition. Auditions are no longer in person, but when they were, this was years ago, I go into the audition. I'm just about to start, and I pause, and I go, 10 years I have been reading for you guys. And they all started laughing, and they gave me the part. They're just like, okay.
Just be brave. Right. Just be brave and say, okay, this is kind of funny. So Tom Macbeth did the same thing with MacGyver. He went over to SG-1 and he was reading at the table, and Mike Greenberg said, I'm going to swear, guys, I apologize, but this is for context and for historical accuracy. Mike Greenberg said, you were great. Why didn't you ever audition for MacGyver? He said, I auditioned for MacGyver like 10 times and you never gave me the fucking part. And everyone laughed and they got it. It just happens sometimes.
It just happens sometimes. I remember I worked on iZombie and I was on their very last episode. And the lead actress goes, you're really good. How come we haven't seen you before? And I'm like, oh, and then, so for what was great, I had auditioned for years for Stargate. Audition. And then I was hosting this thing called the Leo Awards, which is the Vancouver kind of film community.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I got a call and offered a part. And it was Lindsey Novak. So they offered it to me, which never happens. And that was that. So that was, I was very happy about that. That's
so you didn't audition for Lindsey?
No. I think they threw me a nice meaty bone for years of good auditions. That's how I looked at it.
What a great character. And again, somebody said earlier, you give this to the wrong person. She's you are more than just... Some actors, they come in and they are delivering the technobabble to move the story along. She does that, but I can't tell you. I mean, we've got almost 100 people watching now, Ellie. In 3 episodes, that is not that common for someone to have left the audience with someone that sits with them and is like, okay, This person is a piece of me. I see parts of myself in her. I see the awkward kid, in the boardroom of people, in a job where he has major imposter syndrome, and is talking in odd moments to make himself more clear because he's not feeling like he should be there. Or in her situation, she can't stop her body reflexing the way that it is, and it's we relate to that. And yes. She's funny and she's endearing.
Well, it's always I love playing characters. I think it was born from my teenage years. I went through some very, very awkward years. And the entire time I was an awkward teen, I thought it was hilarious. I thought like I remember I was at a new school and no one talked to me for like, oh my gosh, like years. And well, eventually they did. But I remember just kind of like, well, it's like some social event, the pancake breakfast. And I'm like, I have no one to walk with. And so I would just kind of like jump behind a group of people and be walking with them. And I would just think it was hilarious, kind of playing to the audience in my head that would be like, they don't know I'm with them. But
did it help you find your voice?
What's that?
Did it help you find your voice?
Oh yeah.
The awkwardness. Did your yes. comedic bravado grow out of that awkward teenager?
100%.
You have to be confident in yourself.
Well, I was confident, and I was confident in like, of course they should like me. Like of course I should be popular. Of course.
Right? Who couldn't like this?
I never thought I was the problem. I was like, what's with all these people, right? So maybe I was slightly deluded, but it's so I've always loved characters that come under and I think Novak comes under. Like she's a professional. She knows what she's talking about. She's courageous enough to, say something in disagreement with someone, but she's got, toilet paper on her shoe, or she's got, that she's hiccuping, or she's got something in her teeth, or there's some kind of humanizing thing that is like, I'm a human. I'm not just a professional. That's so right. that was, I think, the fun part for me. And it's nice to go into a situation where I don't think they had a ton of like really funny characters.
Jay Thelger, Simon Coombs in season 6 of SG-1 and season 7, and then you came in kind of in season 8 to continue that tradition. It really comes out of Patrick McKenna and those folks, because it's that same kind of person who found themselves in this clandestine organization, who have made themselves useful, and all of their awkward foibles go right along with it. You're just a package deal, and there's
kind of spice, just a little spice.
That's right. Don't make sure that any important buttons have a snap over the top of it that you have to pull back in order to press, to initiate anything big, or give it to the little gray guy over there. Let him push all the big buttons. That's great. Did any memories from Prometheus Unbound and with Dawn or any of that first episode?
Well, I was a little nervous working with Michael Shanks.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, the handsome guy in the elevator. I'm like hiccuping. And so that was, I kind of got to, Novak got to kind of play off that. So as an actor, you do use the energy you have. And so I was kind of using that energy. I'm like, And
Michael's a comedian too.
He is. He's a wonderful comedian. I actually know his wife, Alexa, very well. Yeah. But that was one thing. I think it was, this is a bit of a downer, but it's on the last one I did in the interrogation where the hiccup comes at the end. That was actually, it was just, my mother had Alzheimer's for 7 years, and she was at the end of life, and it was 10 days. And I had a day on the L Word and a day on Stargate coming, and they kept bumping the day, bump. And then finally it came to the last day of shooting for both of them. So they both shared me that day, and it was the day after my mom passed away.
Oh my!
And, I had to be on set at 5 a.m. and do the scenes, and so it was just like Paul was there, who was a good friend of mine, and then everyone was just like, "Is there anything we can do for you?" And I went, "Don't talk about it. Let's just Yes, do the job, have a good time, and everyone was like right on. So everyone really, I think Andy was directing that one too. Everyone really was super supportive, super aware, was there for me, helped me through it, and then afterwards, everyone gave me a big hug, and it was so it was a very kind of in the way that theater is very collaborative and supportive, and they were all supporting me, and at the end, everyone showed real kindness, and yeah, that was really great.
So the day after your mother passed, you were doing the
Yeah,
L Word and Atlantis in the
yeah,
same day.
same day. Yeah. And it was
That's
such
very rare to have two shows in one day, everyone. That doesn't really happen.
they made a point to share me, and I think I went to the L Word first, and it was so weird being on set because all the actors on Stargate are all from Vancouver. They're a little more open to day players. Sometimes you go on set as a day player and leads don't even talk to you.
You're not there.
They don't even talk to you. They don't bring you in. They're fine. Hi, how you doing? But you feel like an outsider, and that's okay. It's part of the job. You're fine. So I go to the L Word, and I was kind of treated that way, just not badly. Just no one really you're a day player. You got a couple lines. Who cares? But it was just really like wild to sit in that. you know, sit in people not even taking me in or thinking about me when I just experienced this profound human.
What am I doing here? What am I doing here? Why did I take this? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's, yeah, that's life. You've got contract, you've got a commitment, you've got, people's jobs are depending on this. You can't just not be here. And, people go through a lot worse things. But the juxtaposition of going from that set to then this set was a great way to end that day for sure. Yeah.
It's in line with everything that I know about everyone who was part of that.
Yep.
Sure, you've got the occasional asshole. Who doesn't? But at the end of the day, it's a good group of people. Do I what?
Yeah.
Do I know who? I can't say. I can't say. It would fall in fandom like a lead balloon.
Okay.
There's just some things that you like there's just some things that you just don't talk about because it would break the illusion for everyone forever.
I'm not.
And you're not. A little bit of it may be clarified when I bring on Louis Ferreira and apologize to him on behalf of fandom and a couple of the cast in front of everybody. So that's going to be a time.
Wow.
On Monday.
Wow.
But you came back in The Siege Part 3, the first episode in season 2 of Atlantis.
Yeah.
And I hear your voice over the radio. Colonel Caldwell, this is Novak in engineering, and it cuts to you and Hermia, and it's like, yes! It's like, this completely makes sense. She would have been there. She's trying to get there if Vala hadn't stopped her, and there was just something that was perfect about that because it was like, this is a continuing story. This is a persistent universe that they're creating. Yes. And they knew who to call. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So tell me about getting the call for Siege 3.
Yes. Yeah. That was and that was the last scene was with she's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Tell me her name, the captain or the
Tori Higginson?
Yes. Oh,
Tori's beautiful.
She is just a delight and a bit of a weirdo, but a delightful weirdo.
Yeah.
She made these dolphin sounds.
Yes, Tori does make the yes.
I'll just finish
it gets worse when she's around her dogs.
She's a scene and then just goes.
Tori's good people.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, really, really neat gal. Liked working with her. She was. I thought she was great in that part too because I felt totally afraid of her, like in the scene, like just terrified of her. And then after she made the dolphin noise, and it was like, oh, okay.
She's signaling that we're cool. The operators for the puppet, Morris Chapdelaine, brilliant guy. I loved having him on. We had him on over at Gateworld as well. He really gets into the head of that character. And when you were talking earlier about really connecting with the puppeteers through the performance, again, it's like magic. And Morris, it was only fitting that I don't know if he voiced Hermione or not, but he voiced a few of them. So there was a little bit of that follow through in terms of the performance. And yeah, you are this guy physically and you are this guy vocally as well. And that was cool to watch.
Yeah. No, it's another funny thing. I ended up while my son was growing up and I wasn't doing theater and spinning my wheels auditioning. I got elected to the board of our union, the actors union.
Okay.
And I was with it for like 13 years. And my last 3 years I was president and then I was past president. I didn't run for a second term. Holy smokes, what a time to be in leadership. Like it was just like just through COVID and through the vaccine mandates and then through, all the Me Too and Black Lives Matter. It was just a lot of serious pressure on, it was like, wow, this is crazy. It's like, lot.
You get through that, you can get through anything.
Right. The union to get through that, but then I was just like, I think I just want to act now.
Yeah. I've done my time.
Yes.
Now my watch has ended.
I remember we did make some advancements for puppeteers on the contracts and the inclusion of puppeteers as performers. They are on camera performers, right? They're not just, they're not with IATSE, the technical union. They're with our union because they are giving performances. And that's just kind of an interesting, oh yeah, of course they would be.
Yeah, it is. It's some of those things that aren't really obvious until someone who has sat in those shoes or in those socks. It's like, of course we have to acknowledge that, We're sorry we didn't, but it makes sense now because there's some things that just aren't overtly obvious until you're placed in that situation yourself. So that's fantastic to hear, Ellie.
I think really the next thing, the new position that intimacy coordinators, that's the next one. Mm-hmm. That's because they're directing. There's a little bit of a competition to see who gets them, the DGC, the Directors Guild, or performers, because they're with the performers. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where that shakes out.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some interesting back and forth there, especially if both of the performers really want that person, or if one of the performers really want that person. And it's been interesting to see the development in that, where if the performers are adamant, it's we're good. And so there's going to be this feeling out of that role for sure. I
feel like it should just be there.
Yeah.
I think it's a safety guard. I think it's the same way. I'll be on set doing a stunt and I'm telling, the stunt is literally, she slumps to the floor. And then there has to be a stunt person on set for that because it's considered a stunt. So the stunt person comes up to you and goes, are you okay falling? Are your knees okay? They kind of, and to me, I think that there should just, if there's any kind of intimate scene, there should just be an intimacy coordinator who goes up, are you comfortable with this? Is there anything you do? Is there anything
right? But doesn't override them and throw their weight around in those circumstances is kind of what I was getting at. But if you light a match anywhere near a set, you have to have people standing by who, if anything goes wrong, they're ready to go. It's just how it is.
Yeah. So I think it's a good addition, and it'll find its way to a norm that works for everyone. I think
sure. In hindsight, it's one of those. It's why did it really take this long? When you really think about it, it's why are we only thinking about this now? A big deal for sure, because that's a personal space thing is everything.
Yeah.
So, I have some fan questions for you.
Oh, fantastic.
And are we okay on time? Are you all right?
Yes.
When do you want me? When do you want me to let you go?
Maybe let's do 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
Kicked my husband out of the house.
Matt 4812. How difficult is it to convincingly hiccup on command, and was it part of the audition process?
No. It was not part of the audition process. It was one of those things that I just sorry. I did. So I had mentioned to David earlier, I was offered the part, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, I have to hiccup. And so I went through a couple of, till I found it, and then went on set and I said, I got a couple to show you until they got one.
God. Urple Homo 4686. If I pretend to have hiccups, I actually get them. Were her hiccups contagious? So that Ellie got them too. I sometimes get them when I watch Dr. Novak hiccup. So it spreads.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. I might have. I know what you mean though.
Right. You get it in your head.
Yeah. But in real life, it's not hiccuping. There's probably people out there that have this. It's my father had it and I had it. If I sneeze once, I sneeze 30 times. Like it's just
Ah,
like someone will give me a, bless you. And I'm like, buckle up. Because
you're gonna run out.
yeah. So I was cursed with that, but not the hiccup. I don't recall getting it, but it does kind of like uh doing it a lot, you kind of get that catch in your throat that
Yes.
yeah, it was yeah. I was glad
Kath, it was what?
I was glad to stop doing it at the end of the day.
Exactly. I'm glad it wasn't like a ongoing part of the character. Like Daniel sneezing stopped after a while too. Kathy's call 3899. Did Ellie find herself talking to Hermione like a real person, just like other actors have stated happens when working on Sesame Street? Well, the puppeteering background would have helped with that naturally.
Yes, yes. If a puppeteer talks to me, yes. But I did. Yeah, I think I did. I remember like that scene. I can picture
Mm.
my acting partner, and it's a puppet. But yeah, you do kind of you think of them definitely as a person. I think we did talk, and I think because I'm not sure whether they did the voice over. I think they did. So usually when you have any voice that you're interacting with, sometimes the script supervisor will read the voice, and you'll just respond to the script supervisor looking at the puppet. So I'm not sure who did the voice
If it's
then.
Morris, it makes sense because he's there and he's giving the performance, and he
Yeah,
can dub
yeah.
himself later.
I think it was him.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Jay Francois, have you ever done crowd work as a comedian? Several have gone more to this approach with stand-up because they can't work the same material for years. Have you given it a shake?
I have done crowd work. Yeah. So I actually, my strength, I can't believe I didn't even talk about this. Improv was, oh, we did talk about it
We
a
talked
little.
about improv, but yeah, the crowd work itself, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I went through the Vancouver Theatre Sports League where I met, Gary Jones
Yeah.
and performers. And we would do a lot of live, like we go to the comedy downtown Granville Island, we go to the comedy festival and go
Mm.
and just kind of like, do some improv scenes with the crowd or we go to Victoria and just, someone would be juggling and then, we'd do characters and we would do corporate gigs where we dressed as characters and you just have to talk to the crowd and all that I actually really liked that because it gives you permission to just jam, right? Because it's a different thing being a comedian just doing crowd work. It's just me that you've got your persona mask, but if you're dressed like a damsel in distress, you have tons of material to just riff on and you've got this kind of mask of permission.
Yeah, you're this person now.
Yes.
Completely.
Yeah.
That's cool. Last question for you. Tim, SGC, today's world can be quite overwhelming. For many of us, SG is our escape, our reset. What do you do to reset yourself? What's your
Okay.
escape?
There's this beautiful park in Vancouver called Pacific Spirit Park, and
Where?
the Pacific Spirit Park. It's by UBC. It's just all the old trees,
Okay.
and I walk my dog along those trails
Yeah.
every day, and it's just like it's so grounding, and it's just like, okay, this is what matters. This is all this noise. I'm here with my dog in the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ellie, this has been fantastic. I am going
Yeah.
to be in Vancouver middle of December with Paul and with Paulie and Jonesy. I'm going to email you asking you about something. They're working on something. I would like you guys, the three of you, to consider something that I'm doing with Jackie Samuda, Tom Macbeth, and Garwin Sanford in another pod. They're talking about acting. I would love for you guys to just sit down on camera and talk to each other about comedy for 90 minutes if you're available in middle of December.
Yeah, I should be around.
We're building some special features out that Gateworld and Dial the Gate are going to share in tandem. And I would really love, especially because you guys know each other intimately, I would really love to see you talk about that specific aspect of the craft. So I'm going to email you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I want to just thank all the people who listened today. Thank you. You do a character and you think, oh, did anyone like this? And you kind of walk away. And the whole Stargate fan world really has so many careers and so the entire community in Vancouver. So we're just grateful that we're able to make a product that people like. And I'm just so grateful. part of it.
I'm grateful for you taking the time as well. 120 people at the peak here, so it meant a lot to have you, and I really appreciate our time together. It was good to get to know you.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, all of it. Thank you.
I'm going to wrap up the show on this side. You take care of yourself.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. That was Ellie Harvie, Dr. Lindsey Novak in Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis. I've been wanting to have her on for a while here, and I was just thrilled that we were finally able to make the schedule work. And then the announcement came through, and it's like, oh, all the better. My name is David Reed. You're watching the Stargate Oral History Project. We've got a number of great pieces of content that are working their way through right now. Darren over at Gate World and I are going to be going up to Vancouver the middle of next month to shoot some stuff. If there's anyone with cameras or lighting rigs in the Vancouver area who would like to participate, hit me up, dialthegateshow@gmail.com, because we have no money and we're figuring this out as we go along. Michael Greenberg is helping. The love for this community is stronger than ever, and I really appreciate everyone who's tuned in to pull this off. If you enjoy Stargate and you want to see more content like this continue to be produced, click the like button. It does make a difference with the show and will help us continue to grow. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend, and if you want to get notified about future episodes, click subscribe. And if you click the bell icon, it will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. Thanks so much to my production team, Anthony Rowling, Kevin Weaver, Summer Roy, Bryce Orrs, Jacob Oleash, Ian, my software engineer, my moderating team, Anthony, Jeremy, Kevin, Lockwatcher, Marcia, Raj, and Jacob, and Enigma, and Steven. Matt Eagle SG Wilson for his beautiful opening sequences, and producer Frederick Marcoux at Concepts Web, who keeps dialthegate.com up and running. So thrilled to have Ellie on. Tomorrow, Wormhole Extremists on our sister channel are going to be bringing you Gemini and the Eye. And that's going to be happening over on the Wormhole Extremists channel. You can actually go to dialthegate.com and click on that portal, and it will take you here to our staging area, live in 21 hours in color. Something cool. And then this coming Monday, Louis Ferreira, Colonel Everett Young, in Stargate Universe, live December the 1st at 3 p.m. Pacific time. The music of Stargate, Joel Goldsmith. This was supposed to air on Thanksgiving. Then it got pushed back to Wednesday, December the 3rd. It may get pushed back again. More people are jumping into the boat with resources. That's all I'm going to say. And we're going to see what we can do to pull this thing off to make this even better. It's gonna require some digging, and it may be just what it is, but listening to enough responses from you guys, it's like, okay, just make it perfect, and it'll come out when it comes out. So I'm definitely. It's windy and snowy out there right now. I'm definitely taking the hint. Charles Shaughnessy, Alec Coulson in SG-1 is going to be joining us live December the 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And that's everything that's booked so far. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you had a great time with Ellie. I certainly did. And let's see what happens for the rest of the year here on the Stargate Oral History Project. There's a few folks that I'm still trying to reach out to wind down the season, because everything is new now that SG-4 is going to be entering pre-production. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you on the other side.